your mind, lost in.
See.
Who wants to start? Oh boy.
Sure, I'll get us started. I guess something that's been cooking and it will continue to cook for a little while, but we're working on an album right now. So that's something that's in the works, and we're still very much in the thick of things, but that's been going on in the background for us for a little while and will continue to be. And then there's a lot of stuff on top of that. I'll let somebody else talk a little bit more about some of the other things we've got going on too, because there's quite a list.
So I will say,
Okay.
with this band, this is a cool thing, I think. Have you seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, where he can't say no to anything?
Yes, but I'm going to be very honest with you. I was really high.
Okay.
Like, when I say high, I'm talking about like two edibles and about 3 joints almost. It was a weird night, let's just say.
Okay.
But it was a great movie.
With all of that on you.
It was fucking fantastic.
The point I'm trying to make is that with this band, it's kind of like we say yes to every opportunity we have, and we've been kind of like performing every week and like doing everything. And there's like somebody says, "Hey, let's do a podcast," so we're doing a podcast, and we, whatever opportunity we have, we just take it. And so it's been really busy in a good way. And and we played a show yesterday, and we're playing a show next Saturday in a folk festival in
there
Broward
you go.
County.
Fucking A.
So,
beautiful.
We also just
rock and roll, man.
Please go, Jeremy.
Then on top of that, I was just gonna say, on top of that, we just submitted an entry for NPR's Tiny Desk contest. So we were working on the video for that last week.
Awesome.
We've got a single coming out.
So the new single "Old Friend" is coming out on February 2nd.
Beginning of February.
And then we are going to release the official video on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Nice.
But aside from that,
marketing
tomorrow, without any warning,
right on
we are
Lover's
also
Day.
going to release the live version of one of our singles, "Here to Stay," the actual song that we sent to the Tiny Desk. So it's just a lot happening.
Okay. It seems like it. And I mean, it's something that's really cool and it always inspires is when you have a project, because a band is a project, right? Podcast is a project. Any type of artistic feat that you're doing is going to be some form of that project. The thing, though, is how do you want to implement it? Because I've heard, like, even Rick Rubin, he said this, that do you really want to focus on the audience, or like you're saying, kind of have the perspective, like, what do we want to do? What do you guys want to do? Like, do you want to make a new album? Do you want to create a project for Tiny Desk? Audience is always important, but it's the project at heart, what you're pouring out there, that truly matters, and what you're working towards.
100%.
For sure.
I think we're also still in a stage. I'll elaborate a little bit, because I think we're also in a stage where we're still kind of discovering and figuring out what our audience is. Like, I think we've started to get some clarity on like the sound that we want to have and like the direction that we want to take. If you listen to like what we've put out and what we are going to put out, you will hear like a lot of different influences, and that's a good thing. And we want to keep some of that diversity, but I think we're starting to sort of synthesize a little bit into like a more cohesive, more unified direction. And as we're doing that, I think we're starting to find our audience, but I don't think we're at a point where we can say, oh, we know our audience wants X, Y, and Z, so we're going to do X, Y, and Z. It's more of what you said, where we're trying to put out what we know we want to create, and then we're working towards finding out how we can connect our audience to that.
Wow. Yeah. That's really powerful. And something, it's very true to that as well. It's where when you listen to music, more importantly, it's not necessarily about what's memorable. It's like what you take from it. Either the lyrics or the sound or the ambience. There's always something that each band, each project, each artist brings to it You can hear those implements within those songs and within
Yep.
those albums.
Absolutely. I really like that you brought Rick Rubin up because he's my favorite producer.
Oh, he's fucking
and
awesome. He's a
and
lunatic, but he's fucking awesome.
I don't think he's a lunatic. I think that there's something about his approach to music production,
Mm-hmm.
which he knows anything about music production, right? He's like he says it like time and time again,
He made the Beastie Boys,
and
pretty
yeah,
much.
but he does. He's not a musician. He can't like take the guitar and tell you, oh, you should do G sharp or whatever. And he listens to music as a fan and let the artist like guide the artist of what he thinks would be more like more accessible for people, but like not in a way that's compromising on the art. And I think that's where the magic is.
Yeah. 2 months ago.
I wanted to explain the whole February 14th. The
Oh,
single, yeah, the single that we're releasing is called "Old Friend," and when we wrote this song, we thought about those friendships that you had for like a long time, those friends that you met maybe when you were in middle school or high school or maybe even before that, and that maybe you have lost contact with them, but then when you reconnect with them, it's like they got you. And so we decided to release the video on February 14th because friendship is another kind of love, right? So we're celebrating Valentine's, but we're also celebrating not just love like in a relationship, but also friendship. And the video that we put together is a celebration of all types of love, including friendship. There's even a video of a part in the video where it's a friendship or a relationship between somebody and their dog. So we're covering a lot of ground, people from
a
all
lot of
over the
aspects.
world. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's February 14th. Because and the song will be released a little bit earlier, but the video we wanted to kind of dedicate it to friendship.
I think it's beautiful. It's kind of interesting because when you say old friends, the first thing I think of is Simon and Garfunkel. Do you know which song that comes to mind on Bookends? And it's literally that point where, I mean, a lot of people think this album is very controversial. I love it. I don't care. But you have two sides of the friendship coin. You have the side of birth to death, and you have the part that is all about adventure and experience. Just just how we're a friendship can be more than you connecting with somebody. We've been mentioning about like even Rick Rubin, somebody that's not even able to play an instrument, but able to hone in and able to make artists more open to new ideas that they may have never thought of before. I feel like, in a way, friendship is a form of collaboration between humans. It's a way of us both sharing and interacting our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, everything, and transferring it back and forth.
And a lot of
Sorry,
things
this
can
is
come out of
very
friendship.
in depth, but hey, gotta go somewhere.
No, no. Like I was saying, a lot of things can come out of a friendship because I
Yeah.
know even the stories of some of the guys here met their now partners, wives through a friendship. So friendship is like the beginning of it, right? And then other things
Like
happen.
this band started through a
Sometimes,
friendship.
not all the time,
The best way
obviously.
to put it.
Right.
Yeah. Annabelle and I met
That's
on
true.
Twitter. We
That
became
is true.
friends, and now we have this thing
So
going
how
on.
so how did you
Who
wait?
wants to start
How
with it?
did you all meet?
Right. So Dari and I were. I was doing a YouTube channel on this show, and so I was promoting it on the Twitter on some followers of the show, and Dari happened to be one of those followers. So she said hi to the community, and I read that she was from Florida, and I'm like, ooh, another person that likes the show from Florida. That's really cool. So I reached out to her, and we started talking, and it happened to be that we not only lived in the same state, but we lived in the same county, and then we
What are
talked
the
some more.
odds?
Yeah, and
It was
came to
three
be that we
miles
lived.
away
I
from
think
each
it was
other.
like what 10 minutes away from
Yep.
each other. 3 miles. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, South Florida is way too big. Okay, let's just put it like there. If you can't even know
I
your
think
neighbor is three
life is
miles
trying to
away,
tell us
whoa.
something, and we
Ah,
listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
it's crazy. You just sometimes cut into each other. Okay, so I know how you two met. Now, how did you two guys meet?
Oh, I've never met these guys. I don't know who these people are. They're strangers.
Run chat,
Okay.
bro.
You
Run
got to put
chat.
a password on this thing. Just anybody can wander in, and
Yeah, officially this has been
Oh,
exploited. Over to the Russian
so Jeremy, how did
Federation.
you
I'm
get here?
sorry.
Uh,
yeah. So I was the next one into the band, and I was racking my brain trying to remember
It's
the name
called
of the
band
site. There's
mix.
basically like,
It's
I
called
don't want to
band
quite
mix.
call it like Tinder for bands. That's it, band mix. Thank you. But basically, like bands that are looking for musicians and musicians who are looking for bands can post there. So my wife and I moved down to South Florida
Wait a
from
minute.
the Orlando area. Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, I thought bands usually put out like flyers for
They
like.
do. Yeah,
Oh,
that's one way
wait a
of
minute.
doing things.
Wait, do people actually like
Yeah,
go on an app these
the
days and like
flyer thing is
actually?
actually not much
That's a
Whoa!
of a
thing
thing
too.
anymore.
Oh
Yeah,
To
my
be
yeah.
god!
to be honest, at least not that I've noticed. We're getting old. We're
Oh my
getting old. We're
god!
getting old,
Damn, I
man.
feel a little old, and I'm not that old. Jesus. All right, sorry, man.
All good, all
Okay.
good. So I
Oh,
had moved down to South Florida with my wife just like a couple months before they put out that post, and so I didn't really have many connections in the area, at least not musically yet. And so as soon as I saw that, it was sort of like the first thing that I saw where there was a band looking for somebody, and I said, "Oh, I think this would actually be a really great fit." So I reached out to them. They were willing to have me come in and basically do an audition with them, sitting with them for rehearsal, see how things went, and they were uh, gracious enough to not kick me out of that first rehearsal, and I haven't been kicked out yet. So
I
I would
think
say
it worked
that's
out
how I've
pretty
been part
well.
of the band.
wow. You're
I
lucky,
think
my
so.
man.
We're the
Very
I
lucky
am.
lucky.
ones.
I
I
am.
think I think we're the lucky ones. Yeah.
So you guys all meet, and how exactly did you just start figuring out how to make music? Like, did you just, one day, okay, we got this, or was there a process for you all to figure out like where you fit best in the band? What skill do you want to hone on more? Sorry, that's a lot of information at once, but it's something.
Right. So, like I said, we met because of a show. It had nothing to do with music, and then we discovered that both of us were musicians, and it was during the pandemic, so you couldn't go out much. So we decided to start, exploring music, and we started doing covers and just making some crazy videos and putting them on YouTube. But we didn't know we had the talent to write songs. Well, I knew Dari was talented because the minute I heard her melodies and her voice, it was like, oh my gosh, this girl, what is she doing sitting at home instead of like out there? And then we started writing music, and it clicked, right? We would sit down to write a song, and it was amazing what would come out. And then we would present it to these other two wonderful musicians, and they would explode. The song would just turn into something completely different. So it was a very slow fade. Like nobody, I didn't plan this. I was just having fun with a friend making music videos. And then all of a sudden, look at us. We're going to festivals and we're on podcasts with this guy.
Mr.
Look at this.
Mr. Gino, you gotta
Hey,
tell them how
gotta
you
keep it
got
a
with
little
us though.
classy, all
You haven't
right?
said your story
Yeah,
yet.
that's right.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I actually I was looking for a band. I also moved to South Florida, and I've been desperately. It's really, people don't, I think, understand how difficult it is to find a good band. There's plenty of bands that are either not like driven enough, or like people have like big egos, and I've been I've been here for now it's like 3 years, and I've been like trying to be in a band that's like actually that I feel is home. And I saw Dari posted an ad on like Facebook that she's looking for a bass player, and I was like, yeah, let's get together and see how it goes. So I got to the audition, and I was like, these guys are like the nicest people ever. So I just stayed. They were kind enough to let me stay, and and we've been playing shows ever since. So it's been really great.
It's really amazing in how the universe works because, like you said, there's so many bands, especially out here in South Florida, and you all four managed to stumble in to At the Starlight.
It's really like a relationship, like when you found, when you find the right person for you, and it's like it is, it's you meet people and you just have that connection, and it's right and it feels good, and and that's it's there's some sort of magic which I can't explain when we get together. It's but
You
it
have a
just
point
it
because, like a
feels it
relationship,
feels
it's
right.
there's understanding,
and
communication, respect, appreciation, and with that, the music flows.
and I think in a relationship also, like understanding that you constantly need to take a step back in order to give space for the other person. And it's very rare to find that in a band where people understand like the greater good, like the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. And it's really rare to find that. There's always like this asshole in the band that has like a big ego and knows better than everyone, and like you know and if
There's
and
been plenty throughout history.
I bet.
I
yeah.
can name like 28 right now on this podcast.
Yeah, and you're lucky if there's one in the band that's like that. I'm saying usually there's more than one. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm the type of person, as far as I go is with Guns N' Roses. That's it. That's as far as I
Understood.
go.
yeah, that's a great example, by the way, Guns N' Roses.
It's strange because when you think of a band like that, let's be honest. What made Guns N' Roses, and I don't remember all the band members, but I'm like primarily you had Axl Rose, you had Slash. Got the other
Duff.
one.
I can name their lineup until
Okay,
like
there you go.
recent
You
time,
do it
but
for me. All right, perfect.
yeah. So you have Axel, Duff, Slash, Easy, and Matt was on drums, and before that there was Steven on drums. So yeah,
Okay. Point is, Axl Rose was a vocalist. That's it. That's all he was. Nothing more. Backed by an insane set of instrumentalists. Absolutely insane. So you put that combo together, you get Guns N' Roses. The second you just have Axl Rose and no more that part, it's not Guns N' Roses. It's Axl Rose.
there's like the fantasy football thing where people kind of make up their own team, and us musicians like to do fantasy bands. So it's like, I'll bring Flea from the Chili Peppers, and I don't know, like Steve Vai to play guitar,
Be
and
careful with your
you know
combination, my man.
and so
It
what
can
I'm
get
trying to
dangerous.
say is that there's a reason why bands work the way they do, and you can't. And they were trying to put together a band with like Chad Smith on drums, and Joe Satriani on guitar, and I think Michael Anthony from Van Halen was bass player, and I'm missing someone. Oh, Sammy Hager was a singer, and they're all really talented, but there's just not together. It's just not like work.
All I hear is airport music.
Yeah,
That's what would come out of that. Airport music. The music you hear when you board the plane. It's not good.
yeah,
And it's true. It's like what makes a band, my personal opinion, is a collaboration of a mix there's something that each one of you, there's an element that each one of you brings. So when you go up on stage, when you go into a recording session and you make your music, all of those four pieces are there. And voila, you got the band.
Absolutely.
So you mean we're not all supposed to be playing guitar?
What?
Oh man.
I missed that. What just happened?
No, I'm asking if we're not just all supposed to be playing guitar because that's what we've been doing. Everybody plays the guitar. No, that's not how it goes.
You're confusing the crap out of him.
No.
I'm a little bit confused. Can somebody
He's
help
just
me?
messing with you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stay serious.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Dari,
She's
would
just
you like
joking
to
with you,
explain?
saying that
Or
all of us
somebody
have
would
just
like
been
to
just playing
explain?
guitar. That's it. No other instruments. Just four-piece guitar band, pretty much.
Okay.
But I will. I'm gonna
Yes,
drop
let's do
that
that.
and change the subject back to
Thank you, Gino.
to
I
what we bring,
appreciate
because
that.
there's another thing that I noticed, and I wanted to
Whew.
talk to you about that, guys. It's kind of like therapy now. I like it. It's I think everyone also brings another set of skills that is not related to music, which is really interesting, because like in other bands I've been a part of, we never or almost never had that. Like for example, Jeremy, built like the website for the band, and we rehearse in his studio, and Anabel edits like all our videos and she books all our shows. Dari does all the networking and all our social media, and
Okay.
I do music production and graphic design. So it's like everyone has like a set of skills that we're using for the band to contribute, which is not related to necessarily to music. So
That's
yeah,
amazing. Because it's not only that, it's where each one of you have a skill, like you said, that doesn't pertain to instruments, sorry. And what basically is happening here, you're creating something that would be considered a hobby, like a band. And you're creating an actual project, an actual structure with a foundation, because you have each one of you creating those networks. You know, I'm sorry, I like to jump around with different bands just for like relation purposes. Like one just comes to their minds, like Ramones. They were very much like a business. Each one of them brought a skill. One did booking, one took care of the music editing. Each one of them worked together as a team to create this. The thing about making something like this that is so powerful for artists is also creating that structure. All of you can benefit from 10, 15, 20, whatever the time frame is, whatever production that
Plus,
you're
we also
doing.
all know that we're all
It's
being
amazing.
helpful and we are
I love
bringing in
this.
something that would potentially improve our chances of being heard.
You know something, it's always interesting because some of the most powerful music, not the greatest, the most powerful music is the music that in a way inspires people. Gets people uplifted, has a way of connecting to people in a very, I would say, almost spiritual way. But I have heard your music live, and I've heard your music through headphones before, and it's whether guitar or not, there's just something about like the lyrics and the sound and the pieces that comes together. It's very unique.
thank you.
You don't find it often. You don't, because like you said, there's only one type of this, and that's how it is.
Yeah,
Well, I
100%.
like to hear that we're unique. I don't want to sound like everybody else. So
It's
Well,
exactly.
sounding like everybody else is boring. You got to make your own sound.
Agreed.
and I think that it's kind of interesting that we're not like we're not trying to be different, or it's not like a conscience.
Not intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just like, Dari and Anabel writes a song, and they just bring it to us, and we make whatever we think is right, and we create something together. But there's no kind of like, let's try to be unique. Let's try to, it's just the connection and the magic, like I said before, that happens when we start playing together. And I think that there's a lot of understanding of that space that everyone needs to leave for other people to express themselves.
Right.
I feel like every other band I've been a part of, at least at one point, we've either like rejected a song or like made huge changes to a song because somebody said like, "Oh, this sounds a little too much like X or Y," and that hasn't happened in this group, and that's like it's probably inevitable at some point. But to Gino's point, that like, yeah, this is just kind of the sound that comes out when we get together and work on a song together. Like, it's telling to me that that's never happened when that's like such a common experience for me in other groups.
You know, I I, I I play guitar, and it's really interesting because when you play an instrument, you always think to yourself, "Damn, I can play a G chord, so can you." Here's the thing, though: you play the G chord the way you play it. I play the G chord the way I play it. And there's something really fascinating where you have those lyrics, you have those chords, and you have all of those pieces, and you're able to put them together. And this is gonna sound nuts. Sometimes, like when you listen to like mariachi bands, you have these 12-string guitars, and you sometimes have 6 of them a piece. And I can literally hear each chord, each and every single chord. That's fucking beautiful. I love that stuff. And you kind of get that like, you get that kind of stuff with like blues or jazz back in the 50s and 60s. You kind of get that twist with alternative rock towards the late 90s. There's always these elements that are added, and it's not elements, it's just the way people play their guitars, electric guitars or basses. It's really that simple. I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm
and
just
and
that's
and
what
it's
comes to mind.
another thing is like, if you take the same lyrics and the same chords and you give it to different people, you will get a different song, right? Because everyone writes like a different melody. And I know of an experience that somebody did,
Kitty!
like a famous musician. He he did some sort of a contest where he just gave the chords to the song and the lyrics to the song before he released it, and told people, "Hey, write your own thing from my song." And he chose the one he liked the most, but it was kind of like either a brilliant marketing technique, or just like kind of like a musical experiment, which I like to think that that was the case.
I
Sure.
like the second option better than the
Yeah.
first one. I'm gonna lean towards that one, but I like that. It's sometimes really hard to be able to sit down and meticulously like write something down. You know, Sometimes like for myself, I'll just like da 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 da. Okay, da da. Like I'll just like try to like put the words and then kind of figure out like what, and you're like, and then you come back and you try something else, or there's always something within writing where there's always like a change or something kind of new inspiration. It's like kind of even weird to even think to be like, damn, this is perfect. Let's just, like go, like this is great. It's just a whole like different space to be in.
Yeah.
You're good.
Sorry. I was gonna ask you guys if you all kind of want to talk a little bit about how you came to form with, like, for example, playing instruments or
Sure.
kind of your early experience with music.
All right, sure, I'll go for it. So,
Who wants to go first?
since I was very little, I wanted to play the guitar, but I live in a very poor country. I lived in Cuba, and there it was really hard to get a guitar. So, when I made it to this country in high school, I took guitar class, which I failed because the teacher wanted me to read music, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna play it by memory. So, whatever, I'm getting carried away. So, I started learning guitar in high school, and then I
No, it's
took
okay.
musical theater
Go on.
classes, drama, chorus. So you would say that high school was the thing that initiated me in the music world. Who's next?
I love that. Yee. Oh
Annabelle,
boy.
you wanna?
Sure. I started very little because my dad plays the accordion. So there was always
Oh.
music in the house, and he was always trying to get all of us. I have two other siblings to learn either the accordion or the keyboard or some instrument. And out of the three of us, my brother, my sister, and I was the only one that actually kept it up and would come to practice. And I think it was more because I was obedient, not because I cared much about. I just, I was the good girl in the family. But as I grew up, it was like, "Ooh, you know what, this is really cool. Like, my dad was really into something. Like, I want to be better at this, and so I pursued it on my own. And I stopped for a little bit. It was like here and there, and then when I met Dari, took it back again, and we're going strong. So I'm the keyboard player.
Awesome.
Jeremy?
Yeah, so my story has some parallels to Annabelle's. My mom was a pianist, is a pianist still actually, and I have an older sibling who she tried to get into piano, and he quickly showed that he wasn't interested. So being the younger of two, I was her next and also last chance to get somebody into piano. So she was very determined to teach me, and like I was kind of into it for like a few weeks, and after that, my interest started to wane. But I found myself really gravitating towards drums and really wanting to play the drums. And my parents, in their infinite wisdom, said, "Sure, you can play the drums when school band starts, like a few years down the road, if you keep playing piano like through then, and as long as you play piano, then when the time comes we'll let you play the drums." And that was like a pretty smart decision on their part, because how many like 7 or 8 year olds are really gonna like stick with this one thing that they kind of latch on to for like 3 years of waiting. But I did, and they, to their credit, lived up to their end of the deal, and let me get into the school band as a drummer. And from then on, it was very much drums and percussion have been like an enduring passion for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have kind of a similar story to Dari in a way, but I grew up in Israel, and we only had one channel
רגע,
on.
Oh boy.
רגע אחי. אתה
כן,
מדבר עברית?
ברור. כן.
אין בעיה. וואי, איזה... I lived in Israel for 3 years.
Yeah, nice. Efo? Oh well, we
Um,
should speak English because it's not. Yeah,
I know, I'm
but
sorry. Yerushalayim. I lived in
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem in Nachlaot.
Okay, nice, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I grew up right
This is just
outside of
getting
Tel
even
Aviv,
cooler. Okay.
and we only had one channel on TV when I was a kid, which was kind of like the government basically showed you. It wasn't communist or anything, but it was we just had one channel. And when I transitioned from being a kid to being a teenager, cable has arrived to Israel, and all of a sudden we got MTV, and we saw all these, like, it was the early 90s and all the grunge and rock bands came out, and my best friend and I were obsessed with Guns N' Roses. Therefore I know
Oh my
all their
god.
names. Everything makes connection now. And we were really obsessed with starting a band together, and I was Axl Rose until
I
my
see the
friend was
resemblance.
Slash. And
I
At
see
some
the
point, my friend
resemblance.
was like, "What's that?"
Why,
Yeah,
Shemish, Molecha Bemetach,
and
no.
so my friend said you got to take vocal lessons. I was like, "No way, I'm not doing that." So it's like, okay, so you gotta pick an instrument, and I heard a song by a band called Ugly Kijo, which had like a slap bass solo, and I was like, that is the instrument I'm going to play. And I started learning bass, and that's how I got into music.
What brought? I'm sorry. What brought you to the states? Mind me asking.
I always wanted to move here. I
Okay.
had my grandparents used to live in Philadelphia, and I went to visit them every summer, and I felt like this is the right place for me to be. And when I was done with school after the army and everything, I finished. I learned sound engineering, and I wanted to move here, but then September 11 happened, and it was nobody took anybody here, and I stayed in Israel, and when I was 30. I worked with a band, and they all got like visas to come to the United States, and
Wow.
I came here, and shortly after I met my wife, and we got married, and yeah, and now I'm here.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm really happy for you, my man.
yeah,
I thankfully I do know a few artists that have moved over from Israel here to the States. And there's something, it's kind of interesting because like even in your group, because I only heard like from the both of you, from Dari and also from you, is you guys like came from somewhere, came here with the intention of artistic, like you wanted to do something that in a way it's like spiking your dopamine. It's like I need to be creative, I have to be. It's that drive that really feeds you, and when you have that drive, nothing's gonna stop you. Nothing.
absolutely. I will say though that it was easier to be in the music industry in Israel than it is here,
Oh
because it's
yeah.
so small, and
Don't give away the
you're
secrets. Come
just
on.
like,
No, no, no,
yeah,
no,
no,
no.
it's just like you just I wanted to work in a recording studio of my favorite Israeli producer. So I just messaged him on Facebook, and I was like, hey, are you looking for someone to intern? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I just started working with him, and you know and this is the guy that I've been like, my favorite producer. So it's really easy when it's smaller. I assume
I
probably in
have no
Cuba
clue. I
would
left
be
too young,
also very easy.
but probably.
Yeah.
Kitty.
What? I'm sorry. I have a cat,
It's totally fine.
and she likes to be a part of the
Twix can be
podcast
the fifth
a lot of
member.
the times. Her name's Twix. Yeah, story of my life. She technically is. Do any of you guys have any pets?
Clem, come
Yeah,
here.
I actually have
Come
two
here.
cats. One of them, and you will get it because one of them is
Oh my
Milky.
god.
Come here,
You
Clem.
know
Come
Milky?
here.
Yeah, of course I know
Okay,
Milky.
great. And I have a gozi. You ever had a gozi? It's like a snack bar with like hazelnut and
I'm allergic. I developed a hazelnut allergy while I was in Israel.
This is
really
Clementine. Say
Yeah.
hi.
interesting.
Oh my god,
It's
it's so
Clementine
cute.
Petunia Apollonia, first of her name and mother of dragons. Okay, go to sleep.
Oh my god. Oh god. What about you guys? Do you guys have any pets or no?
Yeah, I have two dogs. They're both fosters and mutts, so like very mixed breeds. And then we've also got a cat who we are currently fostering as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, he's in the other room, so he's not going to make an appearance tonight,
No. Well,
unfortunately.
that's all right. He's in spirit. That's the main point.
That's right.
What about you, Annabelle?
Does a fish count?
Sure.
Okay. Then there's a fish in the other room. Getting old. I am a dog lover. I had a dog for many many years, and so yeah. But the fish.
Does the fish have
Bruce.
a name?
Bruce. His name is Bruce because of Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
you have a fish that's named after Bruce Wayne. I
Yes.
love that. Does he kind of look? Does he kind of look like Batman?
Listen, he is a very strong fish. Like even
Oh
now,
man.
he's getting older. He's still so like when he sees me trying to feed him, it's like I don't care that I'm all the way down here in the bottom. I'm gonna swim up there and and if not, he'll just throw the boomerang and get the food. So yeah,
Oh
he
my
does. He
god.
is definitely Batman.
There you go.
Mhm.
It's kind of interesting because like as a when you own animals or when you have pets, it's weird in how like you're making a decision to have this thing be in your space. It doesn't pay for its food, doesn't clean up after itself, doesn't take itself outside. Why? And it's weird because it's like in a way this unconditional love and like bond that you have with them. Doesn't matter if they shit 3 times a
Because
day.
at the end of the day,
I
they
don't give
love
a
you and
damn.
they're there for you. They don't care who you are. They
Yes.
don't care what you look like. They just love you. I'll take it.
It's interesting on how well, hey, I'll take it too. I mean, hey, I don't have to pay for, a warm blanket. Those
Yep.
blanket warmers, I got my free one right here. Hey, I always go back to the thought of how they can show unconditional love and compassion. Like you can leave for 2 seconds, come back, and they're just as excited as they were 5 seconds ago. And as humans and as people, when we interact, we have a very difficult time with that same type of nature, that same type of ability to do what they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we would have a hard time tolerating that too. If every rehearsal I was just like so ebullient and like overjoyed at seeing everybody and like stayed that way every time somebody left to go to the bathroom and came back. Like y'all would get sick of that eventually, right? Like
Yeah,
there's something about it. It's
yeah.
just different with
With,
an
with
animal. I'm not sure why. That's
with a
that's kind of
human,
interesting.
it's more
I think
like
because they can't
with a
talk.
human, it's
I
like
think
what
That's
did
that's
they?
probably
that's
it.
What
the
are
Yeah.
they on? Like what's going on?
Honestly, like if she had a collar on her that allowed her to talk, I literally know I'm not lit I don't literally, but I think her first sentence would be somewhere in the neighborhood of, "Bitch, would you fucking listen to me for once?"
Probably.
Like somewhere in that neighborhood. I was like, "Holy shit, you could talk? Damn. Didn't know this was possible."
but they have a way to show you what they want, without talking, especially when your cats wake you up in the middle of the night screaming at you that they want food.
Sounds like
And
you're
just
talking from experience.
absolutely,
Oh god.
absolutely.
Okay.
Mine wakes me up in the morning and meows in my face.
Yeah, so our cat, Milky, he likes to wake us up, and it come to the point where my kids actually wake up and shut the door so he will
Oh,
stop
Jeremy,
bother
your
them.
foster kitty is very vocal too. Like
And
he.
it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he'll like kind of it's not quite as loud, but he'll like meow a little bit. Just like every time he changes directions, every time he like performs any sort of action, he'll let out like a little. "Eh." And I don't know what it is. It's like he can't exert effort or like he can't move a muscle without it also like somehow generating a sound out of him. It's pretty interesting.
No, I seriously can relate. I have a cat that won't shut up for the life of anything. She meows and meow. Right now she's quiet. You better stay quiet. But usually she's quiet. She's not this quiet. She's usually it's kind of strange because like I feel that when you're artistic or creative, sometimes you take inspiration from your own life. when you're, when you're making music or you're coming up with ideas, she's always interrupting them. So this is my issue.
Yeah.
Maybe you could come up with a song about interruptions.
Hey, it's a good.
Every time, I think, maybe not every time, but almost every time, Dari sends a song that she's been working on, there's like some noise in the background. And there was one time, it was right on the beat that I was like, is she actually like, did she put like a tambourine on her foot, like to kind of like, with the, but like it
It's the
happens only
color.
once, and I realized it was her dog, like the collar has like a bell or something, and but it was like right in time. And I think that I realized it because on another song it wasn't in time, it was kind of like off, and it was it was weird.
Come on.
So I was like, oh, it's the dog. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were going to add the dog to the band, but because the dog was not in time, then we
We had to
decided to
settle
leave the dog
for
out.
Jeremy.
I see. I mean, it wasn't, on par.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll give the dog lessons. It'll be up to speed
my
in no
God.
time, and then we'll have band member number 5.
You know
That'll make us
something?
unique.
Don't laugh. Like using dog sounds isn't a bad idea sometimes for music. I
Yeah, it worked well for Sublime.
Who let their dogs out?
really well for
That worked too.
Sublime.
I don't know if that's our sound, but we can try.
No.
Uniqueness,
we
dude.
we said we're going for uniqueness, so that's the
Listen, honey. I mean, I said uniqueness, like just level of you want to take it down or deeper. That's your choice. It's your choice.
Yep, we'll blame
We can
you.
always say that you were the one that inspired us.
It's on record. It's
I'm
recorded.
gonna pretend this never happened. Oh shit. Oh god. So, Abel, do any of you guys have like interests or like hobbies or things besides music? You guys are no, okay. And I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done.
Look
look
behind
at her.
Anabel.
Yeah, she's
I mean,
Yeah, I mean over here was my hobby.
do you collect board games?
Yes, I'm a board gamer, Euro gamer.
Okay. What kind of games do you play?
Strategy games. We call them Euro games. Some of the popular ones would be Settlers of Catan, Carcassonne. I am a Star Wars fan, so anything related to Star Wars, I'm actually in the middle of playing a campaign with my Star Wars miniatures. A game called Imperial Assault, which is like a dungeon crawler with a Star Wars theme on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much into board games. I actually have my own YouTube channel where I run. I do playthroughs. How I teach how to play games. Yeah, it's my other passion.
Oh my god.
You know how when
that's really cool. Yes.
You know how when you try to describe someone and you're like, you go to her house and it's like Star Wars everywhere. It's
this
like
is the way.
Literally like everywhere you go, it's like
this is
she
the
has
way.
like an R2D2 in the bathroom.
This
like
is the
a
way.
real size kind of like R2D2. And yeah, just insane
it's a trash
amount
can,
of Star
actually.
Wars memorabilia.
It looks like R2D2, but it's a trash can. But people have, once people know that I'm into Star Wars, they just start giving me Star Wars things, and I just put them around the house. So a lot of it is not my fault. A lot of it is,
okay.
People just know me as a Star Wars fan.
I got you. No, to be honest, I again, it's still really cool. Just saying.
It is, and also I just wanted to be known that I'm a fan of bass guitars. So if anybody wants to give me bass guitars, I will take them.
Yeah, just remember that the $5,000 is leaving your bank account. Don't worry, it's going to a good cause.
Exactly.
Yep.
He will make good use of it. That's for sure.
Oh,
That's
I'm
true.
sure. I'm sure he will.
Yes.
So that's something that you're into. You like collecting bass guitars.
I'm. I wouldn't say I collect. I probably own too many than necessary. But
Can I ask how much is too many is necessary? I'm just curious.
so the correct amount of guitars is the amount you currently have plus one, right?
Okay.
But I
Kama
personally,
rega. Kama zeolai.
this one was like over 3,000.
Bemet.
Yeah, yeah. But I have some cheap ones. I have some expensive ones. I have five basses, and then I have a bunch of electric guitars and acoustic and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
You
but I've been
guys are
doing
getting
this.
cooler by the fucking minute. Jesus Christ.
We all been doing this for a long time, and you kind of like you compile them. You know, but it's not
You
like
hoard
I
them? Is that
don't.
what you're?
It's not like a collection. It's because it's stuff that I use. It's like I'm using the guitars. I'm playing them. They don't just sit in their bag, and I'm like, hey, I have you know five basses. It's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm sure every one of us knows somebody who has like a million guitars, and they
Right.
collect them for the sake of collecting, and that's not the case.
No, and it's kind of cool because like between you and Anabel, it's like you both have these interests and hobbies that are both like things that you connect with and use, and like for example, board games is a great way of you interacting with people and having new experiences. And for you, you get to play all of these really cool instruments, be able to create new music and new things that you can come up with and work with. It again all kind of ties back to the like kind of like that creative psyche, all feeding back to what you love to do as people. What you love to do as yourself as individuals more than anything else.
It's okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I forgot about you two guys.
So I'm a bit of a yeah. I'm big
Dari,
into video
any passions
games.
outside of
That's
music?
the thing that I do. Yeah, I enjoy video games too.
Video games.
So mostly
What kind
these
of video
days I've been
games?
playing a lot of Overwatch. I used to play a lot of The Witcher. I, w- I play the entire
Okay.
Witcher, The Witcher three times
Okay.
because I was a huge fan. Done some God of War, Assassin's Creed, those kind of games. But I don't have a lot of time like I used to. So Overwatch is the thing to do when I need to get in there for a bit these
Yeah.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fun
Yeah,
too.
I'm more of a Nintendo kind of person.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm like the type of person that I've. It's funny because I've been playing like for like 13 years, but it's kind of like the similar situations whenever like I have a chance, you know. And it's just kind of like it's a really like great way to just. I don't want to deal with
Yeah,
shit right now.
yeah.
I'm gonna go fucking shoot shit or jump over. Like I'm gonna do this
It's
and like
therapeutic. In my
this
case,
is
I
what I
call
want to
up
do right
a
now.
few friends
You
and we
know?
get on the mic and we're all there like,
Oh yeah.
get him, get the motherfucker, and we're just having a good time, Like,
It's weird because like video games a lot of times gets a really bad rap. Oh, it's bad at that. But you're right. It does really have that great way of just like if you need a stress reliever,
yeah.
what's
And I don't know
better,
about other
a
people, but in
cigarette
my
or a
case,
video
sometimes I
game?
get in there and it's not about the game. It's not about winning. It's just about connecting with a couple of friends and just trying to relieve the stress from the day. Let's just go in there, have some fun, and,
There you
and
go.
just talk as we play a little bit. It's not about the game itself sometimes. So
Yeah. And shoot our players,
yeah,
until I win. Yeah.
that's also important.
I'm a little bit of a competitive player. Yeah. You have to be. You have to be a little cocky. You have to be a
What
little
about you,
moxie
Jeremy?
too. What about you, Jeremy?
Yeah. So I really enjoy running, and I'm also a bigger sports fan than I usually care to admit.
All right,
So
when you say sports, because I don't, I'm not very into sports, but sports is it's a lot of things that are in sports. What kind of sports are you into?
so I watch a decent. Well, I have less time these days, so I watch less than I used to. But I enjoy watching professional football, hockey, and basketball. But I find it's sort of the opposite of therapeutic for me because
Oh,
I unfortunately root for a lot of losing teams, so I just get up getting like angry and frustrated. But then I go for the run, or I play drums for a while, and those are the therapeutic things for me. So it works out.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that when it comes to Florida teams, I don't mention names. I stay very quiet because I work in a brewery, and they always ask me to put on those teams, and I have to go, okay,
Yeah, yeah, that makes
sorry,
sense.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, I actually don't root for the Florida team since I like my fandom started well before I moved to Florida.
Okay, you're
But
lucky.
nevertheless, like they're
Yeah.
trash team, so like what you said applies completely.
Good. Like the thing is, like, I'm not into sports, but sometimes if like I'm just running around or quickly just grabbing things, like if I see like a hockey game or sometimes like a football game that's going on, you're right. There's like this thing that you like hone in. You're like, what's going on over here? All right, he's got. You're like, and you're sitting there waiting for that moment to happen. There's like I've never been able to connect with sports in that way, but it's weird. Like when you're just able to get in that, especially when you're at a live game and there's fucking thousands of people around you, bro. It's nuts. Especially
Yeah,
hockey games. Hockey games are nuts live.
yeah, the
Man, oh
atmosphere for
man.
those can be great.
Oh my god, lots of
Gino, you
beer.
actually like played at like the Florida Panthers home games for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I was playing with a cover band, and we kind of played
the
in the
stage?
in
Oh,
the what's it called, stadium, before the game, and like during the breaks and all that. It's so Americans. There's so many breaks like during the game. It's
I
like,
know.
the first time I went to like a football game, my grandfather once took me to like
baseball?
see the Phillies, back in the day, and I was like, dude, this is like boring. This is like your biggest sport. It's like it's really boring, you know.
Oh,
And yeah, I don't know. But then I saw
I'm a
basketball,
little
and
shocked, Tachi, because usually for true Israeli, you say American football. You don't call it
He's talking
football.
about baseball, the Phillies.
no, I was talking about baseball, not football.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
all right.
yeah,
I'm sorry. So sorry.
I
but
think you
but
could
I
say the same thing about football, though. Like, I think it was, gosh, George Rogers. I don't know. Some comedian once said that like football is violence punctuated by committee meetings, which are like that's as American as you can get. So I think that's a fair criticism.
I love that. I love that. Oh god. I wanted to ask you guys a question. So I know you have live events, you have music that's out. Where can generally people like find you? Like you have a website, a
Yeah, so we're
social
very
media
active
page.
all over the. Sure.
Annabelle should say
Annabelle.
she. Oh, sorry. She said it during the show. That's like her job to say where people can find our music. So
it's
Oh
my
boy.
job.
Oh,
So yeah,
Dari's the one
we're
that
very active
deals
all
with
over
social
social
media. So
media. So
all
Dari,
you can
right.
find
go
us
for it.
anywhere: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Our music is all over Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. You can find us on X or Twitter. Uh, Pretty much anywhere you find your music, we're there.
It's honey.
Listen, I'm just saying it too
It's
because you never
Twitter.
know these days.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I know. It's just easier for everyone to just remember the X
Twitter it
means
is.
Twitter. Twitter.
EX means
Twitter.
Twitter.
All
Yeah,
right. Cool. And
For At The
what's
Starlight?
the handle?
Yeah, I mean,
at
so
the Starlight.
it's at underscore
Yeah, you
the
guys.
Starlight. And that's pretty much for most
Okay. Perfect.
websites except for Facebook. And Facebook, you just type at the Starlight and we show up like this. That's the one. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
We show up at your house.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we are also on all major music platforms as well, and our music is there. And we have an album that's going to be releasing in
yeah.
2024.
Yeah. Our next show,
So
just to remind you, is
working
gonna
on
be
it.
next
Really
Saturday,
excited to
February
share it
3rd,
with
at
you
the
guys.
Florida Folk and Acoustic Festival. And we've also been
South
invited to
Florida
perform at the 561
Folk and Acoustic
Music
Cool.
Festival.
Podcast Festival on March 30th. So we're also pretty excited about that one.
Music Festival.
There you go. Awesome. I wanted to ask you, do do any of you want to leave off? Like, there's anything that you want to leave off, like any type of insight or anything that you've learned your way being a part of a band?
Hmm. I don't know what to say, so
Anybody
I'm
want
gonna
to go
let
first?
somebody else handle that.
It's okay.
Jeremy?
Hmm?
So this is not something that I necessarily learned as a part of being like as a part of my experience with this band, but something that I've learned elsewhere and applied to this band and gotten many people to, you know, jokingly throw back at me is that feedback is a gift. And that is something that I think is really true and that like our group does a really good job of embodying where when somebody offers feedback, first of all, the person offering feedback does so in like a really respectful and constructive way, and they do really kind of try to present it as a gift, but it's also received that way too, recognizing that like, hey, if somebody took the time to really like listen to this and think about it and try to like make sure that it's the best thing that we can do together, that like that means something, you know, like that's somebody giving you something by trying to help you make the best thing possible. So yeah, I think we all have a fair amount of independence in the group where like we all contribute a lot of things on our own, but I think you know we're all very open about both asking for and receiving feedback. That's not a dynamic that you find necessarily in every group, but I think it's one of the reasons why we've been able to work together so well.
Awesome. Anybody else want to go?
Yeah, I think that it goes with what we said before and what Jeremy just said, like the understanding that this is like a collective of individuals and not an individual's band. It's not like a just knowing that you're a part of something. It's like it's. I think that that's like the core of this band is the it's like it's something that we never really talked about, but everyone kind of understand that they need to like leave that space for others,
It comes down to maturity and
you
respect
know.
and
Awesome.
understanding of each other's needs. That no one is bigger than the other.
Awesome. Annabelle, did you want to leave off with anything?
And just encourage you guys if you want to pursue music, do it. Don't give up. Find the right people. I think it's so important, like everybody else was saying, to have that connection because you're not just playing together with somebody else. You're actually sharing a journey. And if you're not going in that journey with people that you like and people that you feel comfortable with, you're not going to make it very far. You're going to want to turn around real quick. So if you want something that's going to last, make sure that you're in an environment that you want to be. And make sure you're creating that environment as well. And make sure you're looking out for the people that are with you. How can you help? How can you make the band or the group go to the next step?
Awesome. Well, listen, you guys have been absolutely terrific. I know it is really, really late. And if you guys want to check out the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lost in the Groove Pod. And for any South Floridians that are listening to this podcast, sure to check out At The Starlight, your local venue or brewery, or anywhere you can get drunk and have
Fair.
fun. All right? Let's put it like that. All right. Well, listen, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Laila
All right,
to.
thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Hey.